Hello everybody and welcome back to the self-care experiencing. So I created a kind of visual diagram so you guys can get a better idea of kind of this self-care perspective of health and how the physical, mental, emotional kind of work together to solve for the bigger problem, kind of the restoration of the personality or the character of an individual and the humanity of a person, essentially. So this is going to be kind of a rough diagram, but give you a good understanding of how things kind of work together and how self-care takes a look at health and can help you with your challenges. So here we go. This is the diagram. Hopefully you can see it well. Essentially, this guy over here is emotion, the blue, emotional health. That's the emotional element. Over here we have M, mental, is green, and P here is physical. So you see how we have all three of those elements, and they all kind of intertwine with each other and are able to affect each other. Now, if we look at that same diagram, now that you guys got a good close-up of that, we have the fact that in self-care, you're always kind of solving for the thing that's missing, and you generally need to understand two elements very well to solve for the third. So where we have the emotional and mental kind of connecting here, we want to say, now that we know the mental and emotional, how can we solve for the physical piece down here? And we can do that for each crossing over. There'll be points now we have emotional and physical. How can we solve for the mental aspect over here? Kind of, there's always a missing gap when you put the two things together, and that kind of points you in the direction of restoring the kind of element that's across from it. Same here, mental and physical, we're solving from across from it. And in this way, we have more of a kind of fulfilling of these things, a kind of bringing them back into unity. If you have good emotional and mental health, then physical health will come. Physical health being not only the kind of body itself, but the actions performed by the individual and the experiences that one has. If you have challenges with mental health, we're going to know that our physical experiences are going to start proving that negative mindset or that altered mindset will be followed up by a lot of experiences that seem to prove this. But if we can restore the emotional element into that piece of the puzzle, then we will have more of a balancing of the things happening. And there's essentially, I point out that all three of these things are kind of separate in the way that they are different things, but together in the sense that I believe that they are from the same system. So there's something that has to govern the system, just like our respiratory system, something has to govern that and kind of take control of those things happening. So in that exact same way, we have what's in the middle here. This is what I call the heart element. So the thing that brings about the humanity in a person. This thing is the thing coordinating the mental, physical, and emotional health. Now, in this kind of diagram, it denotes that all three parts are kind of touched by the heart element, which kind of signifies the fact that the heart element can be identified by the emotional, mental, or physical realm. It's able to kind of point out or suggest what the direction should be in each of these areas. So we have a physical experience that causes us to see life in a brighter way. This is the kind of heart element showing itself from a physical thing. We have an emotional experience. We have a loss or a gain that was super or very significant to us. Then we might have a few minutes or a long time of feeling the heart element in that, and therefore orienting this to balance itself out and the system to kind of start running more correctly. Now we can say the same thing for mental, and the idea is that wisdom in itself is always the restoration of knowledge being a little bit more logical and kind of cold. Uh, Wisdom throws back the warmth into the element. This is where compassion, empathy, understanding, all these things come from. But first, you must be able to understand, which is the kind of the logical part of where the person is coming from. Then, after kind of seeing their emotional response to their challenge, then we start to get an idea of how one would feel mentally if this happened. And if we have those things working in combination, then physically we can have a sensation of what this will be like, and then appropriately reflect the kind of the echoing of the experience of the other person. So if the other person has a loss, we can feel, think, and emotionally understand what that's like. And in having that reflection, the person feels heard, understood, and able to kind of express their grievances or express their perspective on things. They don't feel judged. They don't feel like they shouldn't say anything. They don't stuff anything down, therefore having a more complete expression. Once this expression has kind of run its course and is acknowledged in a way, then we can have progression from there, moving on through the kind of cycle of growth, and now saying, what am I going to do about this large change that has happened to me and others around me? How am I going to pursue this thing in a way that's going to be healthy, promoting of growth of myself and others? And this is kind of a quick understanding of those kind of elements. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you guys, and you can see how all those elements, mental, physical, and emotional, are kind of being orchestrated by that heart element. You can also think of that as putting the humanity in a situation. So where somebody has lost and you have a feeling for that person, and you may reach to give that person a hug, you may try to give that person quiet words of wisdom, you may offer something. These are all kind of restoring that heart in that other person and kind of calling them to take on that challenge instead of shying away, really process what's happening, and therefore build something great out of it. If this kind of heart element is disrupted in its way of doing things, we have a disorientation of the one of the three or more of the three, or all of the three elements. The mental and emotional can change, and that then changes the physical expression. And we don't want that to happen. The more they're in balance, the more health is promoted. The more they are blocked, the more health is kind of taken away. In this way, we can have a physical issue, and if we treat it just as physical, you see we're missing 2/3 of the equation. We will not be able to restore that thing to its proper balance because the other two elements are needed to be there in the kind of experiencing of that person, and in that way they can move forward from that. So I'm hoping that makes a little bit more sense. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below. Contact me at noelm@designfitness.ca, and I'll be happy to further explain the nuances of that rough diagram. So that would be the self-care diagram of health, and thank you very much.